This will take you through the steps you need to make when making changes due to no shows on the day of a meet, and then how to manually adjust your heat sheet after you've made those changes. Changes need to be made once registration has closed for that meet. 7:45 a.m. on a Saturday meet and 4:45 on a Tuesday or Thursday meet. You have about 15-minute window to make your changes before you need to begin printing heat sheets and lane line sheets for your timers. So all of this has to happen rather quickly. The first step says to seed only once. So if you didn't seed the meet the night before, seed the meet, and this puts the swimmers into heats based on their best times. Usually this is already done, so you're skipping down to making changes. So you might make changes to remove an athlete, a no-show, and then you would remove the athlete from their individual races. You'll need to deal with their relays separately. You can change relays, switching a swimmer with another swimmer due to a no-show or because the coach has made a change. You might remove an entire relay because one swimmer didn't show. Sometimes they can't fill anybody in and the entire relay has to scratch. And you may add a relay because the coach is requesting you to do so. So we're going to pretend like we've checked in with our coaches and Huntington has some changes that they need to be made. When you're checking in on scratches, you need to know the races that the swimmer was in. If the coach knows all of the swimmer's races, awesome. But at minimum, you need to know at least one of their individual races, and the computer will help us find the other races the swimmer was in. So we're going to write down those swimmers' names and at least one of their race numbers, and again, if we know all of them, we can write them all down at that point. We also need to know, was that swimmer in a relay, yes or no? And if yes, who is replacing that swimmer, who is scratching, or is that relay scratching and being deleted altogether? We need to know this information not only for our home team, but for the away team. So we have to be checking in with both coaches. So we're going to pretend like these are just our only kids that are scratching. They both happen to be Huntington swimmers. So we do all of our scratches for home and away and then make our changes to the heat sheet. So we're going to do some individual scratches. So we're going to remove an athlete from the meet. So we're going to go to enter results. Then we're going to go to the athlete's events and click on their name. And the cursor will need to be in the timer column. We'll click on a button that says remove athlete. And then we can check on all their races and click scratch. We will write down all the races that the swimmer is in individually at this point. So we're going to start with Braden. Braden, the coach said, was in race 18, was at least one of his events. So we're going to go to enter results. We're going to go to 18, since she said that was one of his races. We're going to find Braden's name. Here's Braden Lowe. We will click on the time column. Now typically that would be blank because the meet hasn't actually happened, but I had to go back to an old meet for this training. We would click on remove athlete. It is now that we see all the races that this swimmer was in. He's not only in just 18, he's in 50 and 60. We need to note this because it's going to impact the heat sheet for not just his event 18, but it's going to impact 50 and 60. So we're going to have to look at all of these races when we're all done making changes. We would click on select all and scratch. Now I'm getting an error that says it's unable to scratch him because there's already times. Typically you would just scratch, and when you go back to this screen, the child's name will completely disappear. And it will disappear from this 18, but also from his race 50 and his race 60. But since this meet has already happened, it's not allowing me to scratch swimmers completely. We're going to pretend like Michelle Blanco was also a scratch. She was in event 15. The coach knew at least one of her races. If they knew all, we would have all their numbers written down, but we'll quickly find out all of them. So we're going to go to 15. We're going to find Michelle's Blanco's name. We're going to go to that time column and click on her name. And that's her name right there. We're going to remove athlete. We will find out that individually she's in 47 and 57, along with that 15 that is. So she's also in 47 and 57. Notice we only see their individual. We don't get to see their relays on this page. That's why the coach needs to let us be in the loop on if they were in any relays. And then we would select all and scratch. And again, typically then their name would just disappear. We'd click back and their name would be gone. Once we've done all of our scratches for our home team and for our away team, we could go back to each one of these races and manually adjust the heat sheet. Go back to all the races that had any changes and move kids up a heat if you can. Look at seed times to make sure the faster kids moves up heats to keep it fair. And then try to remember which heats you were planning on combining so that you can continue to combine heats if possible. But you would go back then to each one of these. So I would go and check 15 if I had to move. Oh, it looks like Molly Farrell can move up a heat and Molly could swim up here. Molly could have gone up and swam there. And you would say, yes, I want to make that change. And you would move kids to like minimize heats. You would move kids up. And you would do that to each one of the races that were impacted. So if we fixed 15, every time I fix it and like, okay, I looked at that one, everything looks good. There was also, we changed event 47 for Michelle. And we would look at every single one of these, and if we had to move kids' heats, because certain kids, once you scratch somebody, there's going to be some empty lanes, and you can sometimes move some kids around. And once you've made those changes and checked, okay, I checked 47, I made the changes, you can go ahead and kind of like note that somehow with a circle or check that you dealt with that. Now I'm going to show you how to change the relays, because that's done separately from the individual changes. So now you might change a relay, switching a swimmer with another swimmer due to that no-show. So back in the Enter Results tab, which is where we're at, we're going to go to the event and click on the relay, and then edit the relay and pull in the correct name. So for example, Braden Lowe he was going to scratch from 70, that was his relay, and Noah Flogel is going to go on the spot. So we're going to go to 70. And it's a little tricky when you look here because Huntington Estates has an A relay and a B relay, and then Huntington Barracudas only has an A. So you have to look at your heat sheet and find out were they in relay A or relay B. And make sure you're making the changes to the correct one. So we're in A Huntington. Notice I click on that, and then I go to Edit Relays. And then you just can pull. So you see over on the right here, this is the relay team. There's Noah, but Noah's not here today. And instead of Noah swimming, we said that, oh, I actually already made this change. So for a moment ago, Braden's name was in there. I was playing with this, but so really it was Braden here. So that's how you switch it. So if it's Braden there, then the easy switch, you just take Noah's name and you grab it and you pull it and put it on top of Braden's name. Boop, and then he's in there instead. If the swimmer that is replacing, if you're not seeing their name right away, maybe they're swimming, you can swim up and swim out of age group for relays. So click Show All, and then you can see all of the ages, because sometimes the coach will put in a different age kid just to be able to keep that relay going. So that's how to make those changes. Again, then you have to go back to the heat sheet, make sure there aren't any changes for heats, and making sure if you can move kids up a heat, you do that and double check that, and then say, okay, double check that and circle it. Once all those changes are made, it is time to print. Once you feel ready, you're like, okay, you might want to double check your heat sheet one last time. Go in and look at a sample heat sheet and see if there looks like anything odd where somebody's swimming all by themselves, or heat one that's not full, or making sure your girls and boys races can swim together like you planned. But you just do the best you can at this point because you're also on a time crunch. You're going to go to heat sheets. You're going to go ahead and do your heat sheets. Print. You need about 30 of these on your printer, your first printer. After those get going, you can plug in your second printer. Then you're going to go to lane sheets. Make sure you click 2 events per page. That puts the boys in the top, or the girls on the top, that is, and the boys in the bottom. And let's see, number of events per page. 2. I think you have to put that. You might need to put that 2 there. And then print preview. And these are your individual lane sheets for, oh, that's not what you want to do. Oops. You don't want that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Sorry. You just need to click the box that says 2 events per page. And that will then be your lane lines for your timers to use. It has the girls on the top and the boys on the bottom, so you'll see that in a moment. And you just need 1 copy of these. I'm printing on the other printer. So girls on the top for event 1, and then event 1 continues with the boys on the bottom there. So there's the boys on the bottom. And then you print those, and then you're ready to start the meet.